The four angels at the river Euphrates. The four angels at the river Euphrates talks about an important event from the Bible in the book of Revelation. It's about a special message found in Revelation chapter 9, verse 14 to 15. This message tells us about four evil angels who are tied up at the river Euphrates. These angels are set free to carry out an important task from God, to bring His judgment to the world. This event takes place during the tribulation. The tribulation is a future 7-year period when God will finalize His judgment of the unbelieving world throughout the world of God. The tribulation is associated with the day of the Lord, which refers to the period of time when God will directly intervene in the course of history to bring about the fulfillment of His plan. That day will be a day of wrath. It will be a day of agony and anguish. It will be a day of trouble and devastation. It will be a day of darkness and gloom. It will be a day of clouds and darkness. It will be a day of trumpet and battle cry. A variety of divine judgment, turmoil in a heavenly sphere, natural calamities and horrific plagues will characterize the tribulation period. This event takes place at the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is a significant river mentioned in the Bible. It is known as a place where early human civilization started and has always been seen as a symbol of life and limits. When the Euphrates is talked about in the book of Revelation, it takes on a new meaning. It becomes a key symbol in the events that the Bible predicts will happen in the future. This narrative is a part of a series of visions seen by John, the author of Revelation, which depict the event leading up to the end of the world and the final judgment. The vision begins with the sound of the sixth trumpet, which is a signal for significant events to unfold. It is written, "The sixth angel sounded his trumpet, and I heard a voice coming from the four horns of golden altar that is before God." Revelation chapter 9 verse 13. Consider the words from Revelation chapter 9 verse 14 to 15. Saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels who had been prepared for the appointed hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. This part of the Bible is both fascinating and a bit scary. It shows a time when God steps in and the normal world we know meets the spiritual world in a big way, leading to a serious effect for all people. This prophecy is like a reminder for us to think deeply and be more aware. It reminds us about God's judgment, redemption, and dominion over everything that happens in history. The story about the four angels who are tied up but were free marks a big change in the history of the end of the world. It shows us God's fairness. As we explore this subject, we are encouraged to think deeply about the predictions of Revelation, God's judgment, and understanding human history and destiny. It's like going on a journey into one of the most puzzling and interesting parts of the Bible. encouraging us to explore our beliefs, fears, and hopes about the future. The purpose of releasing these angels is to bring about the great destruction, as they are permitted to kill a third of mankind. But the question is, why will God allow the killing of 1/3 of mankind? There is no necessary relationship between the 4 angels and the 4 angels that are mentioned in Revelation chapter 7 verse 1. They could be the same 4 angels, but it's also possible that they are not. Whoever they are prepared for the hour, day, month, and the year of unleashing of his judgment. We read were released. This assumes these are bad angels. While this might not be the case, it is likely that they are evil angels. In spite of everything, they are instruments of divine purpose. The demonic locusts that were detailed earlier in Revelation were only capable of wreaking havoc on human beings. However, these 4 angels have the power to execute a massacre on unprecedented scale. These angels are only awakened when God deems it to be the appropriate time to do so, and their area of action is limited to a specific portion of humanity. They carry out the will of God at the appointed time. The Euphrates River was a prominent geographical feature in ancient Babylon. It is served as the age of ancient Roman Empire. Additionally, the Euphrates is linked to the first sin. Genesis chapter 2, verse 10 to 14, the first murder. Genesis chapter 4, verse 16, the first organized rebellion against God. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 to 9, the first War Confederation. Description of the army led by these angels. Revelation chapter 9, verse 16 to 19. The number of the troops of cavalry was twice 10,000 times. That's 200 millions. I heard the number of them, and this is how I saw the horses and their riders in my vision. The riders had breastplates, the color of fire and hyssop, sapphire blue and brimstone yellow, and the heads of the horses looked like the head of lions. And from out of their mouths came fire and smoke in brimstone burning sulfur. 1/3 of mankind was killed by these plagues. 1/3 of mankind was killed by these 3 plagues, by the fire and the smoke in the brimstone that came from the mouths of the horses. We read the army of the horsemen. Does this speaks of army that is normal or that is a supernatural? But the rest of mankind who are not killed by these plagues did not repent. In spite of the appearance of some rather overpowering signs and miracles, the majority of mankind did not demonstrate any evidence of remorse. Instead, man perished in worship of his idols, in a manner that was more or less business as usual. They did not stop their worship of demons, whether their worship is writing or unwriting. Thank you for listening to us. Comment, share, and subscribe.